Hi there, Laura here, the founder of Get Organized HQ, and we are going to tackle what I think would be like in our top 3 most frequently asked questions, and that is, how do I declutter when my family is not on board? And one of the reasons that I haven't made a video on this before now is because that's a really tough question to answer, but I'm going to tackle it today. So here's the deal. The way I handle this with other adults in the household, so like a spouse, maybe you have a grown child with you, versus my own children is a little bit different. So I am going to break this up into 2 parts, and we're going to start with, this one's actually harder, other adults in your household who aren't into decluttering like you are. The first thing you need to understand is that you can't actually control other people. And so this isn't going to be perfect. So if you're imagining, and I know I have been guilty of this before, that you're going to wake up tomorrow, you're just going to have this little chat with, let's just use your spouse as an example. So let's say my husband doesn't really want to declutter. He is actually, by the way, pretty good about decluttering. I am very grateful, but I know many cases where, people aren't. Let's say he wasn't into it, and I really wanted to get decluttered, and I thought, okay, I just want to have a chat with him, and then tomorrow he's gonna wake up and he's gonna be all excited, and he's gonna be like helping me, and he's gonna be making trips to Goodwill, and he's gonna start like decluttering all of his stuff, and then in a month we're gonna have our whole house turned around. Wouldn't that be great? Well, I mean, yes, that would be great, but that is not a super realistic expectation. So one of the things that I like to keep in mind is that what is important to me may be a different level of importance to someone else, and really, truly, that is okay. For example, in my household, my husband is really into bicycling. Like, he goes on these long bike rides. He has 3 or 4 bikes. He has equipment to work on his bikes, biking outfits, fuel, like food for his biking runs. There's specialty. We have a spin bike. Now that I actually do like, but we have a lot of things like that. And I really am not that interested. I don't have a lot of interest in going out on the road and biking. I just don't. I'm gonna stick to my little spin bike. But I know that it is important to him. And I bet if today I went and was like, hey, hon, I decided I want to take up road biking with you. Is that even what it's called? I don't know what you call it. Just, I want to take this up with you. He'd be thrilled and he'd be excited, but it's just not my interest. He often has to ride in the cold, and that does not sound like any bit of fun to me. It almost feels dangerous. Like, I'm really clumsy, and I feel like, okay, I might fall off. The spin bike is much safer. Just so many things. So it's not really my interest. And so, yeah, I mean, I care about him. I ask him how it goes. I know what he's up to, but it's not my thing. And the same is true of my thing might be decluttering, but that might not be his thing, and that's okay. So I think starting with those realistic expectations that it may not be as important to them ever as it is to you, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be the same level of importance, and I'm still going to share practical strategies. It doesn't mean you need to give up and live in a total pig pen and never declutter anything. But just know that. The second thing to note is that everybody, this includes adults and children, have different levels of I don't know if you would call it a clutter threshold, but a different level of what feels decluttered and refreshed to them. For example, there are some homes I've been in where they are very tidy. Everything has a home, everything is put away, very tidy, but there's just stuff everywhere. Every surface has all these little tchotchkes and collectibles, and there's just a lot of stuff, and that's not really my vibe. I don't really feel refreshed, as much. That's great for them. Whereas for me, I like more clear surfaces, nothing on the countertop. It's just a different level. And some people I have found function pretty well with organized piles. Their office is going to have some piles in different places. It's still organized. They still know where everything is. It's not a problem. But for me, I hate those piles. Cannot stand them. You got to get yourself some file folders, put them away. I need this clear surface for my brain to think. So we have to respect that everyone is different, and just because you have a certain preference, the goal should not be that now I'm going to make the rest of my family match my own preferences. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about what you can actually do to make a difference. The first thing is you need to have a conversation if you haven't already. And you've probably heard this, and this kind of goes as much into just relationship territory as it does actual decluttering. But if it's something that's important to you and it's bothering you, have a conversation. They just may not even realize what you are thinking. And I know so many times in my own life, something has been really bothering me and I just couldn't understand why my spouse wasn't picking up on that or wasn't concerned about that. And really, they can't read my mind. Like, I just had to communicate and tell them, hey, this is what's going on and this is what I want to do. So you owe them that conversation to just see where it goes. But again, without the expectation that that means that now they're just all of a sudden going to drop everything and start helping you declutter all the time. That's not really realistic, but they're going to know that it's important to you and make the ask and say, honey, this is what I plan to do. You know, I'm going to be decluttering this or that. And this is also important. Let them know how they can help you in a realistic way. So what might they do? And especially if they ask, be prepared with some things that they could do. Like, I know you're not into decluttering, but if on your way to work, you could stop by Goodwill that's on your, just right on your way and drop this off, that'd be really helpful to me. So there might be some things that they can do. And if you have a good relationship and they care, they might be willing to do some of those things. Or, I just need moral support while I do this. Or, it would be really helpful if you took the kids out to wherever while I had some time to do this. So you might be able to find some ways to work together without them being super into it. And I think that's also a mistake is sometimes I will get someone to help me and they'll be doing it and I'll be like, well, you're not into it. Like, it's just bothering me. But again, it may not be their thing. The other thing you need to do is declutter your stuff. Start with your stuff. I think it can be tempting to be like, well, my family's not on board, and so I just can't do anything and I have to live in a big mess. No, you don't. I bet you personally have tons of stuff. So don't let the fact that somebody else has stuff that you can't declutter right now stop you from doing what you can do. Focus on the things you can do. Even make a list. Like, here's all the things that are mine that I can declutter. Don't try to declutter someone else's stuff. That is not going to go well. I would never recommend that. I don't declutter stuff from other adults or older kids without them knowing. Like, I'm not going to secretly go in and decide, okay, these are the 5 shirts I think you should keep and the 10 that I think you should get rid of. That's not really a good way to go about it. So I'm not going to just go in and force somebody to get rid of stuff, but I can start with the stuff that's mine, like my own clothes. Maybe if you're the only one who cooks in the house and doesn't, no one else uses those, you can start with that. Those types of things. So declutter what you can. And while this isn't magic, I have found that many times it is contagious. Like, people will start to notice that it feels nice to have less stuff. It's more convenient now. And sometimes they'll just start doing it too. I know at times in my household, it goes both ways. One of us will start cleaning out our closet and then there'll be a box right there of some Goodwill stuff. And so it just seems like, well, okay, I've got a couple things I could throw in there. So it can be contagious, and try to stay positive about it when you approach it, both for yourself and for other family members. If you approach it like, oh my goodness, this is so rough, we gotta do this, it's such a bummer, I can't believe we let it get like this, it's gonna be hard, like, you yourself and no one else in your family is gonna wanna get on board. But if you approach it as look at what we can accomplish, this is gonna be amazing, we're gonna feel so good, approach it with the positives, and that's gonna make it even more contagious and make people more naturally want to do it with you. Now, all right, let's say that you have really decluttered your stuff, taking care of the stuff that you can control, but now you've got someone else's stuff that is still kind of really bothering you. Like, there's just too much of it, it's really bothering you. What can you do then? Now, the first thing I'm gonna say is there is gonna be some things that are outside of your control, but one thing that I think that you can do is help them in a respectful manner. So, like I said, I'm not gonna go and just be like, I think you should get rid of all this and not even tell them about it. But what you can do and talk to them about this is could you, for example, pick out one article of clothing that you personally happen to know that you haven't seen them wear in a while each day or each week and say, just hold it up. I would not do a big process. I wouldn't be like, we need to set aside 2 hours and go through every article of clothing, one a day, and just hold it up and say, hun, would you mind if I got rid of this? I don't think you've worn it in a while. That's really easy for them. And that's a really good way. If you did one article of clothing a day, that's going to take you 1 minute to think, oh, what's not been worn in a while. And it's probably going to take them 20 or 30 seconds to decide whether or not they want to keep it and if they're okay with you tossing it. And so, and you're going to that's 365 items in a year. And I don't know about you, no one in our family has that many items in their wardrobe. So you're going to get through it pretty fast. So once you do clothing, pick another area and try to help like that in a way that makes it really easy. Don't tell them, hey, you need to go figure out things to declutter, because that's overwhelming. But if you say, hey, would it be okay if I got rid of this? And then accept the answer. Don't argue. So maybe you think that this shirt is ugly and they haven't worn it in 5 years, and why do you need it? But they have, for whatever reason, some attachment. If you start arguing, they're going to think of decluttering as a negative process, and they're not going to like it when you come to them and say, do you want this? Because they're going to feel like whatever their answer is, you're going to argue with them. So just accept it, and that's the best way to have them happily continue to answer you on whether or not you can get rid of the item. So that's one way that I think you can make some for progress in getting rid of some clutter, even when somebody else is not as excited about it. All right, let's shift gears now and start talking about children who are resistant to decluttering. And this is pretty different, I think, especially if they're your own children, than adults. So the younger the child is, obviously the more you're going to do it for them. Like a baby's not going to declutter for themselves. So when they're young, the first thing you want to do is just get them in the habit, you and them in the habit of living in a less cluttered space. So you're going to take care of it for them, and you're just going to be the person who makes sure that we don't have this extra clutter. That's your responsibility. Don't think of it as theirs, that's yours. Now, from the youngest of ages, you can involve them in the process, and I think this is actually a good thing. So the more you can say, even when they're like a toddler, you can say, hey, can you go put this item in that bin? Kids really like at those younger ages to help. Take advantage of that, because as you know, it's not going to last forever. Someday they're going to roll their eyes and be like, Mom, you want my help on that? But when they are young and enthusiastic, take advantage of it. And the younger they start, like this is just what we do, the more natural it will seem. So if you have younger kids, definitely take advantage of that. And also it can just be useful to involve them in the process, because you may have to do it when they're there. And so involving them and being like, and giving them a job. Your job is to take this to this bin. You can even involve them a little bit in the decision-making process, but do not ask them about every single thing. That's not going to go well. They're going to probably say that they want to keep everything, but the point of asking them about a couple things is to help them feel some autonomy, and to also help them, starting young with the thought process of, what we're going to keep and what we're going to get rid of. I would also encourage a toy rotation so that you don't have everything out all the time. There's lots of studies that have actually shown that when children, and even adults actually, have too many choices, it's overwhelming and they don't enjoy playing as much. So if you have fewer toys, they're going to enjoy deeper play and more play. There's an entire book called Simplicity Parenting. I wish I remember the author, but I will link to it down below. I loved that book. It talks a lot about this. So you might want to read that if you're looking for extra encouragement on how to structure your children's environment to help them the most. Also, when you're choosing toys for smaller children, multi-purpose toys are ideal for a lot of reasons. Obviously, they're going to cause less clutter. If you have one toy that has one purpose, but things that they can use their imagination. One of our favorites, they're technically Picasso tiles, an off-brand of Magna tiles. The possibilities are endless. The sky is the limit. I mean, we've constructed it out of little idea books, like different animals. You can construct the whole alphabet. You can construct big homes and castles, and they do garages. They play with them with the little Matchbox cars and with their stuffed animals and all sorts of things. So that one toy requires them to use some imagination and can do so much with it. So I would encourage some of those types of toys. Now, as they get a little bit older, I would not declutter for them. Even though this may be tempting, that you don't want to trick them. You don't want their stuff to just disappear. It's just not very respectful to them, and it's going to make them not like the process. So you do want them to be aware, and it's going to depend a lot on their ages and your specific circumstance. One of the things that I did that I'm going to say worked well, but with a little asterisk. So my daughter was, I don't know, I'm going to say she was maybe 8. So old enough to know if I, took stuff out of her room, and I wasn't going to do that. But I was at the point where I knew if I tried to have her do it with me, it was going to take forever, and we were going to get rid of 2 things when she really needed to get rid of 100. So what I did was I told her, this was not a secret. I said, "Hun, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into your room. I see that we've got a lot of stuff in there, and I'm just going to use my judgment, and all the things that I think that you don't really use and love and play with a lot, I'm going to put into these bins, and I'm going to put them in the garage where you can get them at any time." So she was free to go get them at any time, and she knew this ahead of time, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do for you. So I was able to clear out her entire room of all the stuff that I wanted to get rid of, and instantly her room was transformed. It only took me an hour, and if we'd done it together, it would have taken 8, 10, 12, I don't even know. But I didn't do it in a way that made her feel like I was making decisions for her, or that she had no autonomy over her own, items in her room. I will say where this did backfire a little bit, I think it would work well with a lot of children, is she did end up going and getting a lot of things. And she mentioned a few times how she didn't like having to walk the, like, I mean, literally it's about 10 steps. I mean, there's not even steps to the garage to get something. So there was a little bit of that, I'll be honest. But overall, I think it did go fairly well. So that's one idea that I have for you. Now, if your child is open to it, I have another child who I can declutter with him and it's okay. He's not as much of someone who wants to hold on to everything and remembers where he got everything, and it works out fairly well. So you're really going to have to adapt it to your own situation and make it work for you. Also, with children like this who don't love getting rid of stuff, you're going to need to instigate some kind of boundaries and parameters. So one of the things that I like to encourage is the container concept, where this is our container of like trinkets we get from birthday parties. When it's full, you either don't put the new one in, you get rid of it, or you take one out that you don't like as well. So like the one in, one out, or the container rule is something that you're going to need to put in place. Otherwise, it's going to get out of control, and before you know it, you're going to have like 5 bins full of cheapy party trinkets, and no one's going to want to get rid of any of them. So we've got to start putting some of those boundaries in place to help them and kind of give them those training wheels. And those are things that we need for ourselves, but just helping them with that and guiding them through it. And here's the thing that I also tell myself when I'm really struggling and I feel like this is so much work, is that when you do this, you're not just helping yourself and them live in a less cluttered environment, but you're also teaching them skills that will go with them through the rest of their life that they'll be able to use, because now they've learned some of the principles about containing your stuff and about how to declutter and about how to, keep your space tidy that will go with them. So that's a bit of encouragement as you're really trying to help them through that. And even with this, my kids are still fairly young, but I have to keep in mind that while if it were my space, I would have I like nothing on the dressers, nothing on the top of shelves, just like it bare. That's not all my children's preferences. They might actually enjoy having a few things up there, and that's okay, but I still set a limit on it. I'm like, okay, you can have things on your dresser, whatever you want on there, but you cannot have stuff on the floor. That's actually a little bit of a safety hazard. That's not tidy in anyone's mind. So but I do encourage you to compromise a little bit. You're not trying to train them to be exactly like you are. You're trying to train them to have some of the basic skills that they need. And if they're just going to be someone who has a few more things out, that's okay. And I really like having those clear limits to kind of work with them and make them feel like, okay, this is still my space. If I want to have some stuff out, I can, but there is a limit on it. So I hope this has helped you if you feel like your family is not super on board with your decluttering. And if you want more decluttering inspiration, including how you can declutter your house fast, like in a day, or my reverse decluttering system that has helped so many people, go ahead and click the link down below, and I'm going to put a link to my entire decluttering playlist for you.